And I think what we've really come down to and we're thinking about right now is it all starts with schools, right? So first piece of advice to parents, what's going on with your schools? Think about that first, work second, right? Because I think people in my position who are running people teams, running HR teams right now, we're waiting to hear that too. And really need to know what demands a school is going to ask of parents and families at the moment. And that's going to help me and people like me guide what businesses need to look like too. And so really trying to understand what's happening there as we think about the wind down of this school year, camps through the summer, if that's a thing for people, and then the next school year as well, really be paying attention there. Um, Something else that I think about a lot and have seen be very successful for our parents is, I'm sure you've never heard this before, but communication, right? Making sure, right, making sure that as a parent, you know that you have the kind of power to say yes and no to things, to ask questions, to be more clear than maybe you've ever been before in terms of what you need. I think the pandemic did a lot of things for a lot of people. And one thing that it maybe did to open people's eyes in terms of parents is that this is a group of people with distinct needs, and not all the exact same needs either. And so as an employer, I think about how to connect with those groups, and really think about what they need. Think about a parent of teenagers, very different than a brand new parent, for instance. Parents of color, right, have different and distinct needs as well. So really making sure that as a parent, you're kind of saying, hey, you might not know this about me, but here are the things that I need to get through my day, through my week, through this year. And employers on the other side, making sure they're asking those questions too, and really opening that door for people. I'll give you some examples. Think about the brand new mom. She's on a team of 6 people. Everybody's remote. And that team is used to having a 12 p.m. daily meeting where they all check in and talk to each other. Well, now she's got an infant, and that's when she needs to nurse. Should she say, hey, can we move a meeting that we've had forever just because of me? Or should she just kind of say, like, I don't want to bother everybody else and make them kind of adjust to my schedule, so I'll figure it out or miss the meeting or something like that? What I'm saying is, tell us what you need. Tell us what you need, and managers and employers need to be flexible in those moments. Make the meeting at 12:30 or 11:30 or whatever it happens to be. It's a real life example of something that may seem small, but is awfully meaningful to that new mom and her baby, her family, right? The routine of her day and trying to find that balance. I think that's an example that I hope is helpful. Common threads, like all of us, and parents need more time, right? And flexibility in that time. But like you said, parents are facing different challenges. I think about the death of George Floyd and the protests of last summer. Some of those parents are feeling it very deeply. Black mothers, Black fathers with the children are really thinking about, I need to spend some time explaining the world to my children right now in a different way than other parents, right? So what are those needs, right? Take a day off. Think about your mental health. What can I do to support you as your manager, as your employer, right? Very different than a parent with a newborn, for instance, or a parent of a child who has special needs and isn't getting what they need through remote school. And then how does that impact a parent's schedule and when they're available for meetings and when they're not? Something we talk a lot about with our parents at Maven is managing their calendar, right? You don't have to start at this time and end at this time. You have to think about the goals you need to accomplish in a monthly, quarterly, annual time. Figure out how you're going to be able to get that done that works for your life at the moment as well. I'd say is keep the things that are working. I'll give you a quick example of that. A lot of people are telling me that they're having dinner and meals with their family more than ever before. And as we move into a world that is maybe a little bit more normal, post COVID, keep that.
Mhm.
Keep the stuff that works for your family, and build those limitations and boundaries for yourself in order to keep that. Put your family first, to the extent that you can. Another thing for parents to really think about: be patient with your kids as they navigate this transition too. I think there's a lot of science out there that tells us children's mental health is also taken a toll during the pandemic. It's not just parents who are feeling it, it's the kids as well. And so stay attuned to that, especially as we go through the end of a school year, start of another one. What does that feel like for kids who've been locked down for a significant portion of their lives? Make sure you're really thinking about them as well. I'm also happy to give you some things that I've learned personally at home, with my family, and things that have worked and maybe not worked. But I'd say number one is predictable routines help. Relied on them a lot when my daughter was a baby, bringing them back now that she's 4.5. And
Mhm.
I found that her knowing what's coming next every day, and us, my husband and I, knowing what's coming next too, it's really helped structure our days in a time where the world feels unpredictable. What can you control? What can you predict? And what can you do for your kids there? Found it really helpful. Another is be a little flexible with yourself. So I indulge a little bit, maybe more ice cream than I should, forgive myself on it too. So the indulge, forgive yourself complex, I think, is needed in these moments. Maybe it's okay to watch one more episode of that reality show on Netflix or whatever it happens to be and not feel guilty about it. That's okay. Um, Another practical thing that has worked for our family a lot after thousands of meals that we've cooked and cleaned up after: takeout. Takeout works. It helps the economy. And it's really nice to eat a meal that you didn't have to make and you don't have to clean up after. So it's a win win for everybody. I love supporting the restaurants in my neighborhood, and I love that they support us too. um, we talked a lot about, I think, throughout this pandemic as a society, exercise and physical health and making sure you're moving. As a parent, I found it really helpful to do family exercise. There's also a measure of accountability as well. And with a 4.5-year-old at home, we do jumping jacks every morning. It's also helped her learn to count to 100. So there's that extra added benefit in there. And I don't like to start my days if we're not doing our jumping jacks in the morning. It's a lot of being a parent in times like these, obviously very difficult to do. And stepping away is okay. I really found it helpful to go have dinner or a meal or drinks or whatever it happens to be with friends and leave everybody else at home for a little while. And as the world opens up, and make sure you're doing it safely, being able to do that, find time for yourself as an individual, find it really restorative. And it makes me appreciate all the people waiting for me back home when I get there.